Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Upset Alert Games of the Week. Finally, I found another video idea that I can do in the absence of our college football games. So when I'm just kind of in this area of not Saturday, I can just finally have another video to post. Thank goodness. These are my Upset Alert Games of Week 6. Like and subscribe would help. A comment always helps. Let's get straight into this. So, first game, Oklahoma versus Texas. I feel like it is rude to not put this one on upset alert, even though personally I think Texas will win it. Funny thing I would like to say, I watched Depressed Ginger's prediction videos for this week. Me and him are a point difference on the prediction. He said 32 to 35. I said 31 to 35. So I just thought that was kind of funny to point out. But I just think Texas is the better team here. I've said it multiple times, and I'm going to say it again. I feel like college football teams, the best of the best, tend to lean to this little balance scale. On the far left, you've got offensive. In the middle, you've got balance. And on the far right, you've got defensive. And whichever team can make it the closest to the middle will win the national championship. That might not always prove to be true, which I would say if it wasn't, that's kind of where the upset games occur. But right now, I think Texas is one of the teams in college football that is the closest to the middle, probably the closest to the middle if we look at it. I'd say the only two teams that really are in very close competition with them right now is Michigan and Florida State. One could even say Ohio State, and maybe one could even say in an alternate universe, Oregon. But Oklahoma will play their hearts out. This is on a neutral site, Red River Rivalry. Have to say that slow because I'll just trip over myself. Oklahoma will most likely play this one close, as well as Texas. There will be a lot of emotions. This could be a lot higher scoring than just this. Typically, this game tends to be that way, but Texas is favored. But Oklahoma could definitely pull off the upset here. I feel like just because of the amount of emotion there's going to be going into this game, as well as how important it is, right? Whoever wins this game is going to be crowned the college football playoff contender in the Big 12, right? And now the team that loses this game has to make sure they do not fuck up on another game in the schedule. If Texas wins this, which they probably will, I say they go undefeated for the rest of the year. If Oklahoma wins this, I say they go undefeated for the rest of the year until the Big 12 championship, where they'll most likely play Texas again. With that being said, let's get on to our next game. Washington State at UCLA. So this one you wouldn't be like, how is this an upset? Well, UCLA's actually favored in this game. Crazy, right? And another thing I like to point out about Depressed Ginger's video, he has UCLA winning this game. I'm like, dude, I cannot agree with that. I think Washington State is really slept on. Their quarterback is sick. Their wide receiver core is sick. I think Washington State's defense is actually a little bit better than people give them credit for. And UCLA, they played a little bit of a Pac-12 opponent, being Utah, and they lost in the most pathetic offensive performance of the year. I know it's Utah, and Utah probably has the best defense in the Pac-12, but still, putting up 7 points, that's just not what you like to see. Especially going up against a heavy offensive team. Like, your offense has to be able to pursue past any form of defense if you want to, put up a lot of points. With that being said, I think they will score, but I think Washington State will score a lot more. I don't think my reasoning was very solid right there. It kind of sounded a little jagged. UCLA's offense struggled against any form of defense. I believe Washington State has an underrated form of defense, meaning UCLA's offense will struggle in this game, but Washington State's offense will not struggle against UCLA's defense at all. UCLA's defense is not the best in the league. So yeah, give me Washington State. This is going to be a great match, though. UCLA maybe in one world could win this, but I think Washington State wins this. Alabama at A&M. I think Alabama is favored by a 2.5. Even if that is the case, even the committee knows like this game is going to be close. When does Alabama not lose at A&M? Whether it's a good A&M team, whether it's a bad. This stadium holds, I think, 102,000 people, a bit more than that, like somewhere around that number. This stadium is going to be, I believe it's going to be a full stadium. This is an underrated A&M team. They have one loss on their schedule, and it's to a very good Miami team. A quarterback had a debut in that game, and it was at Miami. So I think A&M's a little underrated right now, even though I shat on them at the beginning of the year for being ranked in the preseason polls. Obviously, the committee knew what they were talking about, so I think A&M is going to pull off the upset today, or not today, on Saturday, and not by a close score either. I think they're going to take care of business. One thing I've noticed about this Alabama team is they like to stick right in the 24-point range against good opponents. They've scored 24 against Texas, and they scored 24 against Ole Miss. I think they're going to continue with the trend. Jalen Milroe delivers like a deep bomb pass and shows that he could potentially be a good quarterback, but he's just like silent and throws picks like the complete other time. So I think A&M's offense is going to do some damage. Also, just off of the fact that A&M went into Arkansas, the same team that played LSU to 3 points. I know it's a rivalry. Just give me a second. A&M went into Arkansas and annihilated. The final score is even, I think, a bit closer than it should have been. I know Arkansas versus LSU is always going to be a close game because it's a rivalry. It's got a lot of emotions and stuff. But still, A&M putting away that Arkansas team was pretty impressive. We're just going to act like KJ Jefferson wasn't getting Heisman talk at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, I think A&M pulls off the upset against Bama. Kentucky at Georgia. This is another game I got on upset alert. I think Georgia's favored by like 14 points. I see people saying like Georgia's going to win by like 30 or something like that. No, Georgia's defense has declined a lot this year, as well as their offense has declined. Their offense can barely put up more than 20 points against bad SEC opponents. And quite frankly, yes, they do have the home field, but I've said it multiple times. I'm going to say it again. Kentucky specializes in Georgia's weak spot. Kentucky's got Ray Davis. He went off against the Gators. They didn't even need to use Devin Leary's air attack. I believe if Kentucky tries to throw the ball in this game, like at all, that will be why Georgia wins this game. I believe Georgia's pass defense is very good. Their rush defense does not seem to be good, simply because Auburn almost pulled off the upset with a horrific offense, because what did they do? They ran the ball. They ran the ball. That was what they did. Georgia, they really had a hard time stopping it. But in all of their games, I guess maybe other than the South Carolina game, but that's because that's South Carolina's only good spot is passing the ball. Every other game, Georgia has really locked down the pass. So I think Kentucky needs to not throw the ball with Devin Leary, especially since I don't think he's just that good of a quarterback. They need to run the ball with their star. That's what they need to do in this game. I think they'll win it in a close one only because it is at Georgia, and I guarantee you, I think Kentucky will be up by a good heaping amount, but Georgia will start to make a bit of a comeback, and that's when the stadium gets loud and the pressure gets on. So I think Kentucky pulls it off. In some world, this could be like a reverse score with Georgia sneaking another one out. Or it could just be a Georgia annihilation, and I'm just on a conspiracy right now. But I don't think Georgia's going to last at number one for much longer. Fresno State at Wyoming. I guess I don't know if Wyoming or Fresno State's favored in this one, but in my eyes, I feel like people don't really know shit about these teams, so they're just going to see that Fresno State is ranked and undefeated and say they'll beat Wyoming. But I think Fresno State's going to obtain their first loss here to Wyoming. This Wyoming team ran the ball down not only Texas Tech's throat, but Texas's throat. I know you might be like, well, the final score says otherwise. But Wyoming's, I think their only touchdown came off of a massive breakaway run. So Wyoming specializes in the run. Fresno State is definitely not going to be able to stop that. Another, like, Fresno State to me just looks like a fraud right now. They beat up they won on the road to Purdue, which looks like their best win so far. Then they snuck out a double overtime victory over Eastern Washington, an FCS school. They won by 3. That looks awful. Then they shut out ASU, which you would be like, yeah, but ASU had 8 turnovers and went through a good 2 quarterbacks. They were on to their fourth string redshirt quarterback. I don't know when they took him out of the red shirt, but that was what we were down to in that game. Fresno State had every opportunity to shut us out. They had every opportunity to put down 56 on us, but they couldn't. And then they killed Kent State, and then I think they struggled with New Mexico. I think this Fresno State team's a little I think they're just overrated. Of course, they're going to be like the heavy favorite in the Mountain West to be ranked if they're undefeated. The teams that I would say are always going to be like the quickest to be ranked in the Mountain West is going to be Boise State, Fresno State, and San Diego State. I could be forgetting a team, but yeah, I think Wyoming's going to pull off the upset. That's our last game. Quick little video. I definitely got really excited that I found a video idea, put this shit together instantly. So I hope you guys enjoyed. A like and subscribe would help. A comment always helps. Thank you guys for 3,000 subs. It's awesome. And that's all for me. Adios.